I apologize. I can't see you guys on here, but I know that we're all on here. So I know you're going to go ahead and give names, but I want to first off start off and discuss, everything that went on with us in regards to this past Thursday with pausing our football activities. I want to credit our players. I thought they did a really good job at being able to voice and let us know where they stand and where they're at. I want to thank our support from the top with George, with Ted, with Ryan, our coaches, our support staff. You can't plan for those type of days, and I'm just when that stuff happens and it's very raw and it's not scripted, the way that it happened with players and the discussions that they had to be able to come up and communicate out of pure respect to myself and our coaches what their plan of action was and what they wanted to do. I just it's really, really making us strong right now, and we're really pulling together in a powerful way. And so that was their day. And, that day was about the players. It was about their voice. Hence the reason why there was nothing from me or any coaches. That was very important to us. That was very important to them. They are the lone voice. That was calculated. It was intentional. And I just think when you talk to your leaders who are the conduits to the rest of the team, what we did was, on a personal level, live, just as powerful as it was from our Zoom call and our Zoom discussion months ago. So I just want to let you guys know from that end where that was. And, it's very internal to us. It was important that we did it, the way that the players. I don't know where I ended, but basically what I wanted to say was we supported everything that the players did. It was their day, and I'm just very proud of where we're at right now as a team. I think we're at a point collectively as strong as we've ever been, together and united. It's nothing but love right now for us, and it's you just feel it. I don't know how any other way to express that. So that was that part, and then obviously the rest of today, I thought went really well, going thud. It was the coaches and players again did a good job, and it's our first time being back at it, but overall very impressed and happy with how things went.
First question, Dan Wiederer.
Matt, big picture coming into today, what were some of the things you really wanted to get out of this session here today? And then specifically with Mitch, could you give us a progress report on where he is with his pocket presence and his touchdown to check down mentality?
Yeah, Dan. So today what we were looking for was really a dry run for everybody, from the coaches up in the booth to seeing how that setup is. It's different this year, to the coaches on the sideline, to the noise, the volume of the music, and then how it drops to the certain decibels, and just understanding the levels that we had there, running on and off the field for the players, their conditioning, for the coaches calling in plays, from headset to quarterback, headset to linebacker, just the whole communication process. It's a big time. I mean, that's why the preseason's so great, is we take it for granted. And so really the mechanics and the logistics of how we did today was probably the biggest thing. Coming out of this injury free, we have to really balance where we're at on a play-by-play, series-by-series drive right now. And Andre Tucker did a really good job at keeping me informed. Our coordinator, same thing, and making sure we don't get guys that cramp up too much, and we don't come out of here with too many injuries. So the players did it. What's hard, too, is we did all thud today, and they did a really good job of staying up. As much as they want to tackle and go live, you hate seeing when guys get rolled into, and they did a good job with that. With Mitch, I thought there's some time. Now, when you're in there with the one line, with the ones, the pocket's usually always going to be a little bit cleaner, especially going against the twos. And then vice versa, it's going to be a lot busier and dirtier in there in the middle when you're going against the ones with the 2-0 line. That's just how it goes. So his mentality, a touchdown to check down, is there. That's been really good. He's done a good job with that. And we missed both quarterbacks missed a couple deep balls over the middle, but we got to just correct that. But I do like that we took some shots.
Brad Biggs.
Hey, Coach. Besides the some of those missed shots over the middle that you discussed, what were some of your other takeaways from Nick and Mitch today? And do you plan to publicly name a starting quarterback before the Lions game?
Hey, Brad. So I thought that for the quarterbacks, the tempo was pretty good. What's hard for them is we scripted the entire day. So as you guys saw, we might have a 1st and 10 play that goes for 12 yards, and it should be 1st and 10 the next play, but it ends up being 2nd and 8. Or there's a certain result where you think the ball is caught over the middle for a 20-yard gain, but it's only a 2-yard gain. So I was talking to them afterwards in the locker room, and it is challenging mentally to get used to the result of a play being different than what happened. And then with naming a quarterback, we are that's something internally that we're going to stick to. But I would say for you guys to know, just to save you the questions, that won't be happening before that game.
Jeff Dickerson.
Hey, Matt. Yeah, I understand, you have your time to make your announcement, and that won't happen publicly for a while. But you've had 2 full weeks now of padded practices, and you had time with these guys before. Can you say whether or not either guy has played better than the other? Has one guy had a better camp thus far than the other at quarterback?
Right. No, Jeff, all you guys, I have so much respect for everybody on this call. And I think for us, we like where they're at, but that's an internal question for our coaches to kind of say where we're at right now. That's more of gamesmanship than anything. It's no disrespect to you guys. I hope you know that. But for us, we know that there can certainly be improvement with both of them. They're making good decisions. There's times they're making good throws. There's times they're making throws they wish they had back. But I'm going to put it this way. Intentionally, I'm not going to give a direction right now.
Pat Finley.
Hi, Matt. How would you describe Robert Quinn getting to the point where he could do teamwork today? And how would you describe Eddie Pinheiro and where he is?
Sure. Yeah. I thought it was good seeing Robert out there. I thought he had a couple nice plays, and that's why he's here, is to be able to do that. So we like being able to see 52 and 94 on the edges, going after the quarterback, and then Pinheiro, same thing. I thought where he's at, he's trying to improve each and every day. But with that said, Cairo came out, and I could be wrong, but I think he made every kick, with extra points included. Did he miss any today?
No.
Yeah, so he did a pretty good job. So that's all we asked for in that situation, is for him to make kicks, and then wherever Eddie's at, he's able to go ahead and get that bad boy as strong as he can get it, and then we got to make a decision based off of that.
Mark Potash.
Hey, Matt, I have kind of a big picture question on the quarterback competition. With the way it's playing out, how critical of a decision do you see this as being from your standpoint? Are you concerned that there's a right and there will be a right or wrong answer, where maybe one guy takes you to 12-4, another guy takes you to 8-8, depending on the decision you make? So just based on what you've seen overall, how critical from your vantage point, how critical is this decision?
Well, it's a big decision. You have to, you want to do what's best for the team. And we told you all from the very beginning that there's zero agenda involved in this. There's going to be very open and honest conversations. We've had some of those. At the same time, you don't know, whoever you end up naming starter, you don't know for several reasons how that's going to go. And so you want whoever you name as a starter to be able to get you to, like you said, to that the best record you can possibly have, and just win. You don't know if that's going to happen, whether that's not playing well, whether that's injury. So, we have to be able to adapt to that. But at the same time, we realize that this is a very important decision, not just for us, but for them too. And they know the decision is in their hands, and they're playing it out. And then ultimately there's going to come a time where we have to say, okay, you are the starter and you are the backup, and it's go time. And whoever that is that's the starter better be ready to go, and whoever that is as the backup better be ready as well. It cannot be a time where there's a setback mentally because you're the backup. So they know that, and that's where on the front end we want to protect ourselves and make sure we all understand that we're all speaking the same language.
JJ Stankovitz.
Hey, Matt. Football coaches don't usually like distractions, or, they try to keep players from being distracted during the season. But what if one of your players feels like football is the distraction from the social justice issues, the police brutality that has been going on for so long in this country, and wants to sit out a game? Will you support a player who wants to do that, communicates that to you?
Yeah, JJ, for us, we're so unified right now that anything that somebody wants to do, when it comes to that, like for example, that issue right there, if that's something that they feel strong about, that football secondary, and that's what they want to do, we support them. Do we want them to do that? No, but they have the right to make that decision. And we're a family here. We are so tight right now into how we have discussions internally, the way we talk to each other. Let me just tell you, the other day was extremely emotional for us and raw, and this time it was live. It wasn't over Zoom, and there was a lot of several people that talked. And again, I'm going to keep that internally, but out of respect to all of us. But we're at another level right now in regards to tightness and unified. And if that's the route that somebody wants to go, then they know we love them. They make that choice, and what they need to do, we support them. And, we'll just move on from there.
Last two for Coach. Hub Arkush.
Matt, I understand, there's a lot of things that you and Bill and Flip and Rags are saying that we either aren't aware of or can't evaluate. But the question you haven't been asked about the quarterbacks, what if this thing ends in a draw, which is from where we sit looking like a possibility? At that point, do you kind of have to go with Mitch as the guy who was here? Do you toss a coin? What happens then?
Well, I can tell you, Hub, we're definitely not going to toss a coin. But we've had those discussions before this camp even started. We've hit every scenario possible. So I think it's a very valid question from you, because you don't know how it's going to go. And you have a guy in Mitch who's been in this offense for 2 years. You have a guy with Nick that has been a part of this offense in the past at different levels. And so really what I would do and what we would do in that situation is make sure that that I'm listening to the coaches on our staff, and we get opinions as to where we think and the why part. And then whatever decision it is, if it is that close, we go with. And we're open and honest with them and tell them the why part. But yeah, I mean, in certain situations, it could come to that, but we'll do it together. We'll make the decision together. And in the end, it's going to end up being my decision as the head coach, but we all do it collectively, which I think will be the good part. But we have another week left to practice, and before you know it, we are going to have to name a starter.
Last one for Coach Adam Johns.
Hey, Matt, kind of a two-part question here. I wanted to ask you about Kyle Fuller's 2 interceptions of Mitch, especially the first one. What did you see there? And I know he was playing with the twos at that point. And the second part of this question, just going forward, since the media is going to be not watching practice anymore, I just want to confirm that this competition will be continuing at least another week, just in terms of the rotations and the splits, everything split up.
Yeah, no, that's good, Adam. The 2 picks with Kyle, I want to start off by saying Kyle Fuller has had a tremendous camp. I mean, a really, really good camp. So the first one was more of a scramble breakdown where we've been getting on the guys in the quarterback room to let's always remember, if a play's not there, if you get sacked because they're not hitting you live, extend the play and give the guys a chance to finish. And that's kind of what that first one was. So you got to take a little bit of that into account. The second one was tipped. We had a couple tipped balls. Again, remember this just as you're taking notes on this type of stuff. We are not allowed to cut on offense, the defensive players. So these guys, a lot of times we can get their hands down, we're cutting. And we had a couple tipped balls today. So I talked to Coach Jay Rogers a little bit, said, hey, we can't cut you, so be careful with all the tips. But that second one was a tip ball that was up in the air. But to their credit, they tipped it, and Kyle made a play. And it is fair to say, Adam, that the rest of this time, they will continue to split reps. Matter of fact, the day that we lost on Thursday, that was gonna be Mitch's day. We're gonna get that back on Tuesday. So he's gonna have an opportunity that day to get back out there, and that'll be really good to see where they're at, and we're excited for really a lighter practice Monday, and then getting into it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then we got to make a decision.
Awesome. That's it, Coach. Appreciate it.
All right. Take care.
Hey, Robert, curious what you took away from the discussions with your teammates on Thursday about canceling practice.
That they're serious about their business. I mean, of course, walking in, you see how serious they are on the field. But when guys needed to step up, that's let you know how they are off the field. So, like you said, me being a new guy here, that's very heartwarming. Guys are, football's a game, and what we're talking about, that's real life. And it's real life for people that look like me on the nonsense that's been going on. So, to have guys that's been here in the positions that they're in to step up and, play the roles they play, I can only get behind the guys and support them because, it's not like we're not begging or pleading, because we shouldn't have to beg or plead about, lies. It's more about this time, like enough is enough. And at that point, I guess, from what I took away from the guys, basically made a point, enough is enough, and it's time to take action. So, I guess, again, it's just heartwarming.
I want to ask you the same question, really, that I asked Danny. What were you thinking and feeling Wednesday night and Thursday as you headed into Hallis Hall? And what were you hoping for, if anything? What were you expecting when you got there?
You said on when?
Well, Wednesday night in reaction to what was going on in Kenosha, and then when you got to Hallis Hall on Thursday.
I mean, what happened in Kenosha is nothing. If you really take the scenario of Kenosha and look at American history, that's American history for you. People that look like me have been hunted for a long time. We've been forcing the basically illegal slavery, but at times, they quote unquote laws make it legal. So again, people that look like me, this Kenosha thing, this ain't no one-time incident. It's 400-500 years of American history that we try to claim to be so proud about. But when you look like me, what's there to be proud about when, no offense, people that look like you disrespect the people that look like me? So why am I supposed to sit there and defend a flag that don't defend me? You know what I mean? So again, for you to say that this is the one-time incident, that shows me that the same way America thinks. This is just another one-time incident. Now, regardless of how people want to accept it, I mean, so again, this ain't no one-time incident. This is American history that people try to claim to be so proud about. And again, it's time, not only time for change, it's time for action. So.
Go to Colleen Kane.
Hey, Robert, when you talk about action, and that was part of your guys' statement as players on Thursday, was that you wanted to take action. Can you share with us what some of the things are that you're talking about that you guys can do to help?
Well, I mean, one thing is education. You got to know what the heck is going on. So, I mean, again, you got to really, I guess so. Again, one, education. We get told, this is how life's supposed to be, but again, it kind of contradicts the whole. What am I looking for? The whole, I guess, concept of the American flag. It's supposed to be standing for freedom, but yet we're talking about us getting Black people, African Americans, or Native, whoever it may be, we're getting gunned down for senseless reasons from people that are supposed to serve and protect us. But yet, every time they people that don't look like me come into our neighborhood and they feel fear for their lives, well, then maybe they shouldn't be there if they going into a place that they fear for their lives. So they're already coming in ready to shoot. To me, that don't make sense. You're trained to serve and protect, and if your first instinct is to shoot and kill, yeah, you don't serve and protect me. You're just hunting us. So at the point, it's time. If you want to be honest, like I've been debating about this. It's either Malcolm or Martin Luther, and at this point, we've been going Martin Luther King for a while. And I understand why Malcolm said eye for an eye now, because you can't go to the people that shoot me down and ask for change. You got to take change yourself. So there's no more begging and pleading to these people trying to make change. It's for us to take action and make change ourselves.
Go Pat Finley.
Hey, Robert, this is admittedly a tough transition, and I apologize in advance, but what was it like being out there running team drills for the first time today? And can you shine any light on the reason for the slow ramp up the last couple of weeks? Matt referred to it as a personal thing. I didn't know whether you could educate us a little further.
I mean, I've been working every day. Yeah, I mean, there's some personal issues. I'm gonna just keep those to myself. I mean, Coach, Coach Nagy and Coach Ted and Shu, they've been working with me. Again, it's personal reasons. Get that at the same time. I mean, I'm gonna look at the benefit of it. At least I'm a little fresher. My body's not too beat up. So I mean, as long as come September 13th, I'm ready. I think the plans work well. But I mean, it was just with the plan that was put together for me. So I mean, I just took it and had to make the most out of it.
JJ Stankovitz.
Robert, you've been around the league for a while, and I'm sure some coach at some point has talked to you about avoiding distractions that aren't football. But on some level, as so many black men and women are gunned down in the streets by police officers, and people who look like you said, just have not been able to live in this country for so long, is football a distraction from trying to fix these problems with our country?
Let me say this. Football is a game. What we talking about is real life. One day, we all going to be done playing football, and I'm going to still have to live as a dark-skinned, black, African-American, whatever y'all want to categorize. We so many names I like to throw out. So whatever. At the end of the day, my skin is dark, and football is a game. And again, like I said, American history has shown that they belittle dark-skinned people. So, I mean, again, while I'm playing this game, I'm gonna play it to the full max. But again, I'm not gonna put no game.
We lost you there when you said you're not going to put the game ahead of your life.
Yeah, I mean, so for someone to say, taking time to address certain issues, the distraction from the game. Now, again, it takes away, I don't think people realize, again, football is just a game. And again, if you look like me, you approach the situation different. So, while we're in the building, we're one. But when soon as we leave, we all get looked at different, unless we tell them we're in the NFL. So is this game more important than my life? No, it ain't. I'll answer that again.
All right, we got time for one more from Pat Finley.
Pardon the football question again. Where are you in the 3-4 defense? How is that coming along? And would you be ready to go?
Follow-up question to the nose one.
And physically, and I mean, if the season started tomorrow, would you be good to go?
As long as I wake up, that's the start of it. As long as I wake up, I think I'll be ready. No, but I'm sorry. Well, I missed the first part of the question. You said what now?
The 3-4 outside linebacker. How's that coming along? What's been the biggest challenge? Where would you say you're at now?
I mean, coming along great. With Coach Ted and Coach Shu, helping me adjust as fast as possible with these crazy circumstances. They made it easy as possible. Coach Chuck, he makes the defense fun, so it makes it a lot easier to pick up the play call. So the transition is not really hard to play. Football is football, so it's more just learning the playbook. I guess that would have been my biggest challenge, is learning the playbook. After that, football is football. So to answer your question, I feel pretty comfortable if we had to play tomorrow.
Hey, Nick, the last time we talked to you, you talked about how this is a process and you've had to accept just sort of letting the process play out. Where are you at right now in sort of the developmental process within this offense? And then along with that, a day like today that's all scripted, what's the challenge for a quarterback of developing a rhythm when you don't necessarily have the true football rhythm to the day?
Can you all hear me?
Yep, we got you
y'all
now.
Can hear me now? Okay, sorry. I say each and every day I'm getting more and more comfortable. The more we rep the plays, the more we talk through them, and just the more I get comfortable with the guys out there. I'd say that's happening every single day. Pertaining to today in the scrimmage, it's definitely different when it's a scripted scrimmage. You might have a big game that takes you, 40 yards down the field, but then it's 3rd and 12. And you have to play the 3rd and 12 out. So your mind is like trying to go to the game, but then you have to come back to the realization of the script and the scrimmage. So it's almost like a double battle. You're trying to play the game, but then you're playing the script. But I felt like today we got a lot of good work in game time situations, being in Soldier Field, wearing our jerseys, different environment, busting down, sort of getting a little feel of it all, seeing what the locker room's like. It was my first time in the home locker room. So I felt like today was really a good work day for us.
Mark Potash.
Hey, Nick, now that you've been in this competition, since the start of training camp, just curious how you think it's going, and do you feel like it's going to be beneficial for the team? Do you think it's getting the Bears are getting out of this what they expect, and do you think you're getting something out of it, or what you expect to get out of it?
Yeah, I feel like, we as quarterbacks have come to work every single day and pushed each other to get better and better and better while installing this offense. So I've really enjoyed the process. As it pertains to a lot of those questions, that's for the Bears organization to handle. All I know for right now is I feel like as a QB room, we've continued to improve and work every single day to, take this offense to higher levels, which we're excited about. But, I feel like thus far throughout training camp, we've put in a lot of good work in the QB room, and I know we have a lot of good work ahead, coming this week.
Brad Biggs.
What more do you perhaps need to do to kind of show Coach Nagy and his assistants that you're the guy for the job with the number of days for them to make a decision sort of dwindling here?
There's no answer to that question. I got to just be myself and go out there and play. When we go out there and practice, when he calls a play or whatever play is during a period, I need to execute that play. And if for some reason the defense covers it, I need to be smart, move around. And sometimes, there's a couple of times just throwing the ball away. I know they're looking at all our decision making because it's a team sport. But as for now, I just got to be myself. I know everyone wants the answer to what it takes, but it just takes being myself and going out there and playing and let them decide who's the best to lead the team. And no matter what happens, we're all part of the Chicago Bears.
Adam Johns.
Hey, Nick, as these practices have kept going, I'm curious, like how unique has this felt for you as they've, it's so condensed already and they got this competition going. Like how unique has this felt for you? And then I guess what's been the most challenging aspect, for you, especially given previous games?
Yeah, it's been a really unique situation with everything going on in the world and this year, and not having OTAs and getting here, and everything's expedited. Not only are you trying to, play football and learn this new offense, which, has similarities to what I've done before, but there's still a ton of new. You're also meeting a lot of new people and trying to build those relationships and learn their names while also learning the area. So all that pulls from your energy. So it's not the first time I've done it, but it's the most expedited, I would say. And, I'd just say it's been different, but I've been enjoying it and just sort of leaning in and embracing it because that's the time and that's where we're at. And the tough part is just you're trying to expedite building these relationships, which isn't always easy. But like I said, that's the situation we're in. So I'm doing my best to lean in and embrace that.
Chris, Emma.
Hey, Nick, with 2 weeks until the regular season starts, this quarterback battle seemed fairly even, at least to our eyes. Are you confident that there's going to be a winner revealed before the kickoff to the opener?
You know what? That's a Coach Nagy question. 100% Coach Nagy question. All I can control is going out there and executing plays and building relationships with my teammates. So that's something that he'll have to answer. We just have to go out there as quarterbacks and do what we can to help this team.
Dan Wiederer.
Nick, rewinding back to Thursday, could you just kind of walk us through the timeline of what the morning was like for you? And then what was the most impactful thing for you about that entire day and all the conversations you guys had?
Yeah, I think that, just that Thursday was really just about, our brotherhood in the locker room and talking through different things. And it was an extremely beneficial day when it came to conversations and spending time and taking a moment and talking through different things. And, what happens in that locker room, really stays in the locker room. I will say it's a great brotherhood that's continuing to grow. And the main thing that we want out of it is we want, change, and we want to create an impact. So that's something that we talk through as players is like, how can we impact in our sphere of influence, which is the Chicago area, while using this platform, while playing in the NFL for the Chicago Bears. So, the conversations have continued onward and how we can help our communities and help what's going on in the world as men and women of the Chicago Bears.
Steve Leventhal.
Yeah, Nick, if hypothetically speaking, you get named as a starter, you're going to face the Lions. What's your level of experience with them? Have you played them before? And how would you prepare for a team that you didn't get to see in the preseason?
This Lions team I haven't played. Coach Patricia was with the New England Patriots. When I played him in the Super Bowl, that was really the last time I faced his defense. So that would be my only familiarity with this certain team. Other than that, I'd have to look back. But I think, the snow game in Philly in 2013 would be the last time I played the Lions, unless I'm mistaken. But Coach Patricia last time was 2018 in February.
Couple more for Nick. Therese Paylor.
Hey, Nick, how you doing, man? Thanks for doing this.
Absolutely.
Quick question for you. Very much interested in leadership in NFL locker rooms, and I'm curious, how much easier is it to command respect from a locker room as a quarterback after you win Super Bowl MVP?
I'd say, I don't know. People definitely look at that, but I'd say it really only takes you a little bit, because at the end of the day, it's what you do day in and day out and how you genuinely want to, care for people and want to get to know them that matters. So you might have that in your resume, but it'll only give you a tiny, tiny bit. So the day in and day out conversations and the way a quarterback prepares and goes out to practice and spends time at the facility is the most important. And that's just what I've learned throughout my careers is, your resume will only get you so far. It's what you do every single day that matters.
Last question for Nick. Dan Wiederer.
Nick, the coaches promised coming into camp that they were going to be brutally honest with the evaluation of the quarterback competition. I'm curious how you felt the feedback process has gone to this point. And while none of you guys will ever reveal it publicly, do you guys know where you stand in this competition at this point?
Honestly, I haven't asked for any feedback. It doesn't really, in a most respectful way, it just doesn't matter to me. I just want to go out there and help this team and play out there and, go execute these plays and help this offense and help this team and whatever role that may be. So my focus is that, I told y'all from the beginning when y'all asked me how I'm going to win it. I'm not even thinking about it. I'm just thinking about being the best player I can be for this team, whatever that may be. So with that, that's where the coaches know I stand. That's how I've been. That's how I've been throughout my career. So why would I change right now and all of a sudden let this thing overtake me? I'm going to go out there and be myself. I'm going to play my game. I'm going to love my teammates. I'm going to trust them and do what I can to help this team in any way possible. So that's what I focus on. And that's, as long as I play the game, it'll be that simple.
Awesome. Thanks for the time, Nick.
All right. Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
as we get closer to the stretch run of this quarterback competition, what's your understanding for what's left here, as we've really basically just got a week until we're in week 1?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. I think that'd be a good conversation to have with Coach probably tomorrow, see how we did after the scrimmage, go back, watch the film, and then have one more big week of practice before I would say they probably make a decision. But they really haven't told us where we're at or when the deadline is. But just keep leading this team, doing my job, what I got to do, and just truly stay focused on trying to get better every day out of practice. But as far as the deadline and when that decision is going to be made, I think I'll just have to. Is it coming in delayed? Can you guys hear me? Okay.
It's better now. You were slightly delayed.
Okay. Just let me know if you need me to re-say anything.
Next question, Brad Biggs.
Sorry.
Hey, Mitch, I'm curious, what do you think you've done best so far or most consistently to this point in this training camp?
I think overall, just showing that I've improved throwing the ball downfield in situations with the team and one-on-ones and routes, just showing I could make better decisions with the football for the offense and throwing the ball downfield and being more accurate, especially out and to the left and outside the numbers. So I think I've showed that I can make those throws, and I've done better with my footwork and then just being able to lead and run this offense smoothly. So I feel like I've had a good camp and just trying to get better every day.
Adam Johns.
Hey, Mitch, I wanted to ask you specifically about today, especially with everything scripted. What was that like where you'd have like a completion to Riley Ridley for like 12 yards and it's coming back? Like, just take me through your day today.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a little different and weird when practice is scripted, so we're not playing each play as it is, but you just got to keep reminding the guys what the situation is. So you could have gotten a first down from the previous play, but if it's 3rd and 3, you just got to let the linemen and the guys come in the huddle that you guys, look, this is a 3rd and 3 situation. We're trying to pick up the first down right here, and just communicate that way. So just be aware of the situation. Make sure you're leading the guys. I thought we did really good job getting in and out of the huddle today, just playing with tempo, and having a script helps with that, so everybody knows what they're doing. So I thought it was overall pretty smooth for the most part. Just it's not a play it situation because everything's scripted. So you just got to let those guys know what situation we're at and try to put yourself in that mindset to simulate the game.
Mark Potash.
Hey, Mitch, kind of along those lines, in this setup, you never really seem to be able to, as a quarterback, build that kind of momentum, that play-to-play momentum, and maybe show some intangibles or chemistry or whatever with players. It just seems very awkward. Is that difficult for you? Is that problematic? How do you deal with that? Not being in a real game type situation to show what a quarterback can do.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's hard to show, but with the circumstances, we're just doing the best we can. We're trying to run the offense, and I wouldn't say it's a problem, but like you said, it is kind of weird. You're just not in the flow of the game. You're coming in and out, but as best you can, you just try to put yourself in those situations and execute the offense. And I think the coaches could just try to evaluate off of that. So just trying to do the best we can to lead our guys and put ourselves in the situation. But we definitely would like to feel more of the game flow and build that momentum and definitely show the intangibles that
Therese Paylor.
Running the offense and playing quarterback, but it is what it is, and we're just trying to put together good practices right now.
Therese Paylor.
Hey, Mitchell, quick question for you, man. After a difficult 2019, I'm curious to know what, in retrospect, the single best piece of advice you received about how to move forward in 2020 was.
I think it was just me learning that everybody goes through a process, and you never know when you're going to have a good year or a bad year, but you just try to work your tail off and continue to be the person that you are. So there's a lot of adversity that we faced last year, and myself personally. But I just try to stick with it and get better every day and continue to stay positive. So I don't know if it was just one certain piece of advice that I've gotten from people, but I think overall just the love and support from my family and friends, them being there for me, them continuing to let me know that they believe in me. And I think that just really helps me continue to believe in myself. And just I think all the hard work I put in and how bad I want to win for this team and how bad I want to succeed is just going to help me going forward. So definitely my support system is everything to me, Joe. My friends and family just continuing to have my back is what has pushed me to do better this year.
Pat Finley.
Mitch, what's the one thing you want to make sure you get better at in the next week or two as this thing comes down to the wire?
I think just running the offense. I would like to show the coaches that I can create more explosive plays with offense, throwing the ball downfield, and just make great decisions overall and run the offense. But really get on the same page with coach and just figure out where we're at and see what in his eyes I can continue to improve to either separate myself or give me a really good chance to help lead this team. So it's I'm going to have to talk with him to see what I can focus on throughout the week. But for me, it'd be just showing I can make the explosive pass plays downfield and make great decisions within this offense.
Two more for Mitch. Adam Johns.
Hey, Mitch. Two-part question here for you. We saw the touchdown to Jimmy Graham today. What sense do you have now with all these practices of what he can provide, what Cole Kmet can provide, what Demetrius Harris can provide as tight ends in this offense going forward for you guys this year?
Yeah, I truly think we have a deadly tight end room. I mean, they're super athletic, they're big and they're long and they're physical in the run game. And when you throw the ball up in the air, they can go up and high point it. And they all have unique abilities, but I think together they can be a special room that could really help our offense this year. So it's our job to create mismatches for them and let them use their abilities. And as a quarterback, it's my job to put the ball where they can go and make great plays for them. But it's been awesome to see the camaraderie that they've built in that tight end room, how they're all helping each other, and how they're making the tight end position really fun to watch for the Chicago Bears right now. And we love throwing to them. They're nice big targets, and it's fun when they get the ball in their hands. So they've all been an awesome addition to our team.
And then quickly, we saw a picture of you with a championship belt. We know that the receivers and the defensive backs have their competition. I'm curious, just in terms of the story behind you with that championship belt over your shoulder, what's the story there?
I think I was just walking by Coach Furry, and he threw it on my shoulder, and he asked if I wanted to hold it for a little bit in honor of the receivers winning one-on-ones that day. So it's just Coach Furr and the receivers having a good time, winning one-on-ones and keeping those competitive throughout practice. So something just like to have fun with.
Awesome. That's going to be it for Mitch. Thanks for the time, Mitch.
See you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.
another edition of the Sports Medicine Update, a weekly podcast by yours truly and, of course, the Honorable Dr. Chad Padromas. Doc, how are you?
Having a great day, Jerry. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic. Dr. Chad Padromas, President, Illinois Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Center, a weekly podcast. If anybody has not seen the podcast and you're interested in sports medicine, sports injuries, regardless if it's on the professional level or the amateur level, like yours truly, the weekend hacker on the golf course, or, even, I don't do it anymore, but getting in the driveway and shooting the hoops, you feel a little twinge in your shoulder, your ankle, your knee, and you want to find out a little bit more about it. Dr. Chad Padromas, Sports Medicine Update, a weekly podcast will provide you as much information as we possibly can. And before we say goodbye, we're certainly going to give you some information on how you can get in contact with Dr. Chad Padromas. Find out a little bit more. If you're nursing an injury or if you're trying to prevent any type of injury, we will give you that information. So, Doc, lots that's in store and it's been taking place over the past week. The pandemic continues to produce interesting outputs and interesting stories. And, of course, last podcast, we had an opportunity to talk about the developments regarding the bubble down in Orlando for the NBA. And, life continues, and now we had a postponement as far as the games are concerned due to some unrest that took place not too far from where we're residing here in the greatest city in the world. That, of course, Chicago, Illinois, and the outskirts, just a few miles north in Wisconsin, Kenosha. Many of us have heard the stories, and we've seen the news that have transpired over the past week regarding the unnecessary encounter with a civilian and, of course, the law enforcement in Kenosha. But that prompted protests all around the country regarding the professional ranks, from the NBA to Major League Baseball to the National Hockey League. The NFL have canceled practices for a couple of days this past week. Even NASCAR had something to say about it. But as far as the bubble is concerned and COVID-19, the players, they have the numbers are pretty good as far as the testing is concerned and keeping everybody in check, so to speak. But of course, as far as the normal routine regarding these athletes are concerned down in the bubble, injuries are still happening and still occurring. And the most recent, one of your favorite players down in the bubble, Jimmy Butler, has come up with some sore shoulder twinges, so to speak. Can you elaborate on Jimmy's condition, and is there any worries surrounding his sore shoulder injury that he has down there in the bubble?
Yeah, I can. I think some. And as I say, whenever these things come up, I have no inside information as to his condition. And if I did, I couldn't divulge it. I just read the papers like everybody else, or the online things. But as is perhaps known, he came out of the game and in the second quarter, I think it was, had a sore shoulder, and then came back in. When he went back in, and he said later he was just concentrating on playing defense, his left arm. So he had, Jimmy's a productive player. He fills up the stat sheet, terrific defender, scoring whatnot. So they won the game. He had the fortitude to come back, and so what was wrong? It was described as a sore shoulder. So what could this be? Well, it happens that 80%, I would say, of the shoulder problems that occur are related to the rotator cuff, which are tendons that hold the ball and the socket together in the shoulder. They stabilize the shoulder so that the big muscles, like the pectoral and the latissimus and the deltoid, can move the shoulder. So there are 4 rotator cuff tendons, but the one that is always injured first is called the supraspinatus. That's not important, but when you hear rotator cuff tendonitis or tear, you're talking about that almost always. There's some exceptions, sometimes with the other tendons. So the rotator cuff gets inflamed with use, and it's particularly bothered when you do activities with your arms away from your body. Actually, weightlifting can cause it. So you don't necessarily see it all that often in basketball players compared to other sports. In pitchers, rotator cuff problems are ubiquitous pretty much. But as far as what it could have been, I mean, there's a few things it could be. He's too young. It could be arthritis, but he's too young. Certainly, broken bone. He didn't have that. There was no trauma. So you're kind of limited in general to the rotator cuff, possibly the labrum, the AC joint, a couple other things. But assuming it was the rotator cuff, and he's had some problems before. It just, Jimmy is a specimen, as you know. He's legendary for his workout regimen, for being conditioned. He's chiseled. And sometimes when you're chiseled like that, your shoulder can get sore. So the rotator cuff can get sore. There's a thing called the AC joint that can get sore as well. But the main thing to know about it is, let's just say it's rotator cuff tendonitis or a little damage to it. Usually if you just kind of leave it alone, keep your arm down, it sort of goes away. If you're playing defense with your left hand, you shouldn't be reaching that much with your arms anyway, right? The good defenders move their feet. So a left rotator cuff strain, if that's what it is, can often be dealt with pretty effectively without doing much. In the old days, people used to do cortisone shots for it, and there are people who still do. I never put cortisone near a tendon or a joint because it's been shown that it can kill tendon cells and cartilage cells. So for the people that do, is that wrong? It's not wrong. And the people that do would say, well, yeah, it can damage tendon cells, but that's if you do a lot of it, and one shot isn't going to hurt it. So it's, different physicians can see things differently. But in my world, I just don't like using cortisone for that reason. And I don't want to go on too long here, but one really interesting thing about rotator cuff and practice in general, I think I mentioned this a few weeks ago, is something called platelet-rich plasma, which involves drawing your blood, spinning it down, isolating growth factors and anti-inflammatory cytokines, and then injecting it back. Usually in a joint, can do it in a tendon. The predecessor to this technique, which was called regenokine or orthokine, was what the late Kobe Bryant had done some years ago. So the reason I bring it up now is I started doing it 10 years ago, actually after reading about Kobe Bryant. And I, at a research foundation, checked it out. We looked at papers, decided it seemed to be legit. So it has been transformational for my practice because the most common surgery I do is arthroscopic rotator cuff repair. But I only do it on tendons that are completely torn and can retract. But most damage to the rotator cuff is not a complete tear. It's a partial tear or less, or just inflammation, tendonitis. And in Jimmy Butler's case, excuse me, if it does affect his rotator cuff, it'd be very unusual for a 29, 30-year-old maybe to have a full thickness tear. So probably there's some damage to it if that's the area that's affected without a full thickness tear. Now, he's not going to be having surgery at the drop of a hat anyway, but in my world, so I've been doing this for 35 years, and when I got started, I did a fellowship at Harvard in the Mass General Hospital in sports medicine, and mostly what I was learning to do, and this is the early days, was how to scope a shoulder and then do ACLs. So anyway, there has been people who have done surgery for partial tears of the rotator cuff, tendonitis over a period of years. I did it some. I just don't think it helps much. Some doctors feel differently. So for me, when PRP was introduced, one of the first things I did with it was inject these tendon injuries. And it has just been transformational. In fact, we just yesterday sent off a paper for publication consideration, something like 70 or 80 partial tears of the rotator cuff injected with PRP, with really, not perfect results in everybody, but the notable findings were nobody went on to need surgery. Nobody had worsening of the tendon. Most of the people had good results. Some of the people, a little better, not enough better as they would have liked. But overall, the results are very good without surgery. So is Jimmy Butler going to get that? Probably not. First of all, he probably won't need it. Probably just taking it easy, it'll get better. And then secondly, when we do it, the shoulder gets sore for 3 days to a week before it gets better. So, maybe not something you want to do during the season. But I bring it up because it is such a common problem. Rotator cuff tendonitis, rotator cuff partial tear. And one of the biggest transformations of my practice in the last 10 years has been to document that PRP, which is very safe, it's not covered by insurance, but it's not real expensive. We've done over 4,000 of them as part of a huge study. No adverse events of any kind. Anyway, but it's just the realization that for the most common form of shoulder problem, not only don't you need surgery, surgery is often ineffective, but we've got this simple injection. We usually just do one, sometimes a second one. Once people heal, if they're careful, usually it doesn't come back. So it's just been a really important thing. And I see a ton of second opinions from people who've had surgery recommended. I mean, and you can go that route if you want to. I just didn't find it productive, and I don't like doing surgery anyway unless it's a last resort. So it's just been transformational for me, and I think for a lot of patients. Maybe that's what Jimmy has, maybe not.
Well, I think that, and that's great information, a wealth of information there, Dr. Chappadromas. And I think many people are wondering, when you talk about these high-priced athletes, you look at, I think there are three components involved here. You're looking at the player, you're looking at the doctor/trainer, and of course, you're looking at ownership. And there are three different perspectives on any type of injury that these players sustain, for the simple fact that most of them are multi-million-dollar athletes, and the owner wants his athlete out there performing to get his money's worth. The athlete wants to be out there to maybe raise his stock or prove his wealth as far as the alpha male is concerned, that he deserves to be out there, he deserves the money, and he wants to win. But then when the injuries factor in, or the soreness factor in, you've got the doctor, the trainer. And there could be three different opinions here as far as how to get the player back to health. And with a sore shoulder, and we've heard this and you've seen this, I'm sure, where athletes, they want to get back in the game, or they want to get back out there and say, hey, I'm okay, doc, I'm fine. But in reality, in a lot of cases, they may not be fine. But the owners also want that player back out there. With a case like Jimmy Butler, how do you, as the doctor/trainer, satisfy both sides, but also make sure that you're doing things properly to get the end result of the player being 100% healthy as much as possible again?
Yeah, so as usual, Jerry, you ask a really insightful question. It's a very important and complicated issue. And so the answer is, and one other thing that I would add is that the other thing that's in the equation is non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. So that's ibuprofen, Motrin, Advil, Aleve, Celebrex, diclofenac, indomethacin, in the old days, butazolidine. So these drugs are very seductive because they help people get better. You can get back right in. And I avoid them like the plague, like I do cortisone, because they do three things that I don't like. They mask pain, which maybe gets the athlete back sooner, but it allows you to damage yourself and not know it. And because pain's protective, so anything that hides the pain allows you to damage yourself, so I'm against it. They are actually potent anti-healing drugs. In fact, don't want to digress too much, but there was a study after rotator cuff repairs where they gave some of the people tramadol, which is kind of a moderate narcotic, some of the people ibuprofen, some of them Celebrex, another anti-inflammatory drug. So cuffs can re-tear. So after 1 year, they found 4% of the tramadol group retore, 8%, twice as much of the ibuprofen group retore, and 37%, which is 5 times as many with the Celebrex. So the point is, these things can interfere with healing. The third thing is they're incredibly toxic, high incidence of bleeding, ulcers, kidney problems, liver problems. So, and I go through all this to tell you that, I've been doing this for 35 years. And when I first started out, I was just running around being team physician all over the place. I had half a dozen high schools. I was single at the time, so it made it easier to run around, and colleges, and I was a medical director for the Arena Football League, and I was a team physician for the indoor professional soccer team. And, it's an ethical thing, because the athlete's hurt, gets back, ownership really wants him to get back. And so clearly and obviously, as a physician, your allegiance is to the athlete and the player always. But, and I've done that always. But there is pressure brought to bear. And I won't mention the teams or anything, I guess, even though it's been a while, like professional teams, but there's a thought that, well, hey, bone's not sticking out through the skin, just get your butt back out there and play, and then you take some pills and whatnot, and it's very hard for everybody to say, hey, look, you could, shoot them. The old days, shoot them up and send them in, right? Back decades ago, was documented with Dick Butkus, the late Doug Buffone, who I knew well from. We were both involved in a major way in the Arena Football League early on. But anyway, getting cortisone shots for things, getting pills, butazolidine, which is a horse pill that worked very well, but had some horrible side effects now and again. So you have to be prepared, if you're a team physician, to put the athlete first, to be conservative, to recognize that they don't go out there until they're fine. And these gigs are useful to doctors. There's a time when doctors got paid, and then now hospitals and doctors pay 7 figures to be the team physician for a pro team, because it's prestigious, right? You're a sports medicine guy and you're the doctor for this team or that team professional, so it's people assume that you're good at what you do. So the thing is, you can lose gigs like that if you're a doctor, if you're not satisfying ownership. But the thing of it is, you just have to not care. And in many ways, it's easier, and I found myself, since I stopped being team. So I got married sort of late in life. I was 39 years old, and up until then I was running around all over the place. But after that, I just didn't want to do that so much anymore. So I'm not team physician any place now where I'm responsible for other athletes. But I like it much better because athletes find me, and sometimes we'll have more trust because even the athletes perceive that if you're paid for by the team, that maybe your allegiances are mixed. And all the people that I know that are team physicians, I don't think they're like that. I think they're real ethical. But the conflict definitely exists, and you just have to not care, and you have to not care what ownership thinks. You have to not care what the athlete thinks too. I mean, because there can be an athlete who can say, "Hey, doc, I got to get back out there. I'm going to lose my gig," and you can do stuff to make them temporarily better. That's not good for the long haul. But you just have to resist that temptation.
Yeah. Hey, Doc, we do want to clear one thing up. When you say you were single and you were running all around, we want to clarify and make sure that everyone understands you were running around to take care of the medical responsibilities that entailed building the foundation of your career, not running around carousing. So I want to make sure we clear that up.
Yeah. What I meant by that was that once I got married and had kids, you need to be home. You need to be a husband. You need to be a father. So back in those days, I spent as much time at stadiums, watching games as I did at home. And so, yeah, that's right. I meant running around the games instead of trying to be a good family man. You're right.
There you go. But I also want to touch on, we talk about from the professional position, with the owners and the trainers, and I'm glad you cleared that up and identified, everything there. But the average Joe, I mean, the guys out there, maybe he's 30, 40, 50 something year old guy, and he's playing 16-inch shot softball, which is very popular here in the Midwest and of course here in Chicagoland area. And, he feels a little soreness in that shoulder and say, you know what? I played 3 games today over, in Franklin Park, and I'm pretty sore. I better just get on home and, ice this thing down, and I'll be ready for work on Monday. Because he's going to pop in some Tylenol or some ibuprofen or whatever. How do you address, the weekend warrior who's out there enjoying himself and, feel a little aches and pains when he gets home on Saturday night or on Sunday?
I'll tell you, it's a great question also. And I'm a little different maybe than some guys, but I am a big believer in listening to your body. So if you're having pain, it's for a reason. And I don't like pills. I don't use medicines of any. After surgery, we give people pain pills and here and there. But my opinion, if it starts to hurt, I think the worst thing that happens with these drugs is all these commercials for a lot of these drugs, a lot of them non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, and they say, well, you have pain, don't let it stop you. Go do it despite the pain and take pills. I just think that's the worst advice you could possibly get. If you've got pain, if you're middle-aged person, whatever you're, 30-year-old, 80, whatever you are, if you're having pain, it shouldn't be there. and you need to figure out why you're having pain. And the thing is, if you don't take pills, it kind of forces you to stop the thing that's offending your body, and then it gets better quickly because our bodies are so smart. They tell us just what to do. But the minute you start to pop Advil or Aleve, I don't like icing things either, because there's, ice doesn't help you heal, right? It decreases blood flow. So why would you want to do that? We do ice pads after surgery, which are hugely helpful. And if you bleed or get a bruise, they're helpful. But other than that, that blood flow is useful. So I believe strongly, and my patients who know me know this. So I just don't like drugs. I don't like pills. There's gigantic profits for big pharma in it. And I mean, they're not bad people, but they're out there to, maximize sale of their other product. And I get some patients who don't understand this, but if you're going to practice the way I do, you've got to take some time to talk to people to explain it. And once I explain to people that these drugs mask pain and interfere with healing and all that, people usually get it. For the weekend warrior, I tell people figure out what's causing it. For the shoulder, it's usually very simple. The shoulder doesn't like it. If your arm is at your side, it's happy. When your elbow goes out in front of you to 90 degrees, it doesn't like it. At 45 degrees, maybe it's happy. So we have videos on our website about how to work out. If you're doing lateral raises, only go up part way and, things like that. But the basic thing is we're engineered to keep your elbows down. We talk to people. We say when you're driving a car, have your hands at 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock, not 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. So what I'm saying is if you go out and overdo it, when it starts to hurt, stop. And then wait till it doesn't hurt anymore at all and go back. Absolutely don't take a pill. Absolutely don't put a liniment or a balm or a cream on it. And I wouldn't ice it down either. It's certainly not going to help it heal quicker, Now, if you can't sleep at night, fine. Take a Tylenol, take an Advil if you need to. But the thing is, when it first starts to hurt, if you take it easy after that, the pain will go away quickly. The people that come into my office that are just miserable, and I can always tell, the people are just red hot. You can see their faces. They have anxiety. Are people who hurt, and then they listen to the commercials and they take stuff, and then this allows you to damage yourself more, and then the pain just overwhelms you, So we have a thing on our website that says no pills, no pain. Don't take pills. Don't put liniments on. Don't wrap it. Don't use ice for it. This sounds strange. I know, well, geez, doc, don't ice it. I see everybody icing their shoulder all the time, right? So, if you're a baseball pitcher, should you ice? Will that help you? I don't know. I don't know of any evidence. There's no study showing that it helps healing. And I think if you just leave it the heck alone and get in harmony with it, you'll do better.
Wow, that's amazing information, Doc. And of course, in the society that we live in, thank you so very much because, there's so many of us who have, play sports from, Pop Warner football, T-ball, Little League, and all the way up the ranks. And that's what we've been conditioned and instructed to do. Take a Tylenol here if you got a little pain, or, ice it down. And the Icy Hot, the great Shaquille O'Neal is a great spokesperson for that. Our society has bombarded us with all of these instant treatments to alleviate or what we think get rid of pain, and now you're saying that's the wrong message to send to all these athletes out here, because it's really in essence not going to help you, and it may even hurt you even in the long run. So I mean that's fantastic information to hear. And I guess the question now is, which is very vital and very important, how do you from your position, from your responsible position as a professional in the medical industry, how do you get that message out to, the average guy who says, hey, I twisted my ankle and it's swollen a little bit and it hurts, or I got that little twinge in my shoulder and it hurts and I'm trying to lift my arm to eat dinner. How do you get that message across to them that, what we've been trained and conditioned to think is not right?
Yeah, and so I get it, and people come in, I explain it to them. We've got a thing on our website called No Pills, No Pain. I have a link that says Holistic Orthopedics. So people find me because I'm what we call conservative. I do surgery as a last resort. I don't like drugs at all. We've actually done a lot of research on nutritional supplements, which can be helpful, It's swimming against the tide, and a lot of times for athletes, particularly young athletes, it's not at all what they want to hear. Because, they're mid-season and they're hurting. and they want to hear, hey, I got to finish. I'm getting my college scholarship, this, that, and the other thing. So I just tell people the truth, and some people buy it, some people don't. So that's about all you can do in this business, tell people the truth. But we have it on the website. I talk about it. I write about it. And I will tell you that what I am saying now resonates invariably when I tell people this. First of all, they want a pain pill. And I say, if I do that for you, it's going to make you worse. And then I explain it. And by the end of it, they're finishing my sentences. And they understand. Say, yeah, and most people say? They say, the doc in the ER or somebody else gave me, say, I didn't want to take that stuff anyway. People usually don't like taking stuff. And I find more and more people who are very skeptical of big pharma. And I got nothing against pharma. I think they're trying to help people. But I think you just got to understand that they're out there to move product. It's the job of the medical industry, guys like me, to give the other side of it. But this resonates hugely with people who want natural treatment, like how your body, and I'm not talking about fruits and nuts, weird natural, but I'm saying, not to be drugged up, not to get unnecessary surgery. So how do I get it to society at large? I don't know how I would do that. But, when people come see me, I take the time to explain it.
Well, let's hope we can get this podcast out to as many people who will have an opportunity to hear your message and hopefully apply it to their lives, because I think it's very important and it's very beneficial and very helpful. So let's definitely get this podcast out to as many people as we possibly can to help them out long term. Real quick before we go, Doc, the National Football League, they're expected to start the season in a matter of a couple of weeks. The Bears will be entertaining the Detroit Lions on September 10th to kick off the 2020 season. And it's with apprehension, obviously, due to the pandemic and coronavirus COVID-19, that some speculate the season shouldn't start. Others speculate that if we do get underway, it won't be for long. And then there are others that say, you know what, let's ride the wave and protect these players and put a protocol in place and ride this thing out. We just heard a case, and thank you for the article that you presented to me earlier this week regarding the Minnesota Vikings linebacker Cameron Smith, contracted the COVID coronavirus, and it was found out that he had a heart condition, and now he's going to, I guess, undergo surgery to correct the issue. Can you elaborate on that and give your perspective on the league getting underway this fall?
Sure, and again, I don't know what I read in the paper, but it was interesting. So he wound up having probably an echocardiogram. It didn't say, but he had a thing called a bicuspid heart valve. It's a congenital anomaly, and it can lead to problems. It can lead to heart failure. It can lead to aortic aneurysms and whatnot. So it was picked up, and it's kind of an interesting thing. The discussion, well, is it dangerous? And the thought is that, the one thought is people are maybe safer because they're in a really controlled environment. They're watched, they're counseled. So this is a case where, did it save his life? I don't know. I mean, I don't think he was at imminent risk of death, but getting this thing replaced now is clearly better than leaving it there and letting it damage his heart. So this is something good that's come out of it. So if we have a scorecard of the good versus the bad, we got something really useful good, and hopefully there'll be little, if any, bad. So I think everybody being careful and going forward, I think it's a good thing, and I think it's going to go well.
No, I'm glad that they were able to catch it, and hopefully this young man, I think he's about 26 years of age or somewhere around there. But if you can get something good from this, that certainly is very, very important. Many fans are looking forward to the season, and as we talked about to start the podcast, Doc, we see how the numbers have pretty much been zero regarding the NBA and the bubble. I just heard a report that Major League Baseball had over 1,200 tests up to this point, and the numbers are minuscule. I mean, they're almost non-existent as well. And of course, we know what's going on in the National Hockey League with the bubble up in Canada. Do you see the NFL taking note and getting started and riding the wave and having a successful season with low numbers, if any?
I do, and I think that in general, the numbers across the country too, cases are down and whatnot. So I think it's all good news. And like I said, I write newsletters and Facebook posts, and I get people tell me all the time. They say, "Oh my God, I get all this terrible news," and I get so depressed. And I'll say it about the NFL like everything else. I think we're on the right track. I think things are going well. There's some really interesting herd immunity stuff out there that don't have time to go into today. Data out of Brazil and New York and elsewhere. Anyway, so I think it's got to be careful, got to be responsible, no question. But I think the NFL is, and I think it's all good. I think things are fine. I think they're gonna get better.
I hope you're right, Doc. And again, as we go along week in and week out, and that's one reason why we love the opportunity to chat with you on the Sports Medicine Update podcast every week, is because you supply us with updated information, not only regarding the sports injuries, but what's affecting this entire country and this entire world is coronavirus COVID-19. And every week it seems we get a little bit more insight, a little bit more educated, and it looks for a brighter future. And like you and many others around this country, I'm hoping and praying and looking forward to football in the fall, because there's no better substitute. There's no question about it. So again, let's hope the respective teams will do everything in their power to make sure that the players are healthy, that they're safe, and they continue to test and monitor this week in and week out. And we'll certainly keep people posted as we get closer to kickoff, and looking forward to getting to some football on Thursday nights, Sunday night, and of course Monday night. Hey, Doc, if anybody wants to get in contact with you or find out a little bit more about Dr. Chad Prodromus and sports injuries and sports medicine, how do they find you?
Our main office is 847-699-6810. Just give us a call. We got a great staff. You won't get a phone bank or a recording. You'll get a real live person, and just tell them what's on your mind. And then our website is ortho at, or I should say our email is ortho@ismoc.net. Same thing. So we read everything that comes in, and we'll take care of it as best we can.
Sounds good. We definitely want a live person and not a bot on the other end when we call, Doc. Thank you so very much. I love it, and I'm looking forward to hearing more and learning more. The Sports Medicine Update, the weekly podcast. Jerry Riles, Dr. Chad Prodromus. Doc, take care of yourself. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Jerry. You too.
Sweet land of liberty of the outlet, land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim from every mountainside. Let freedom.
Hey, listen, it's Jerry Riles on location, Clark Avenue on the north side of Chicago, in the beautiful, beautiful city of Chicago. Protesters are heading north to the downtown Chicago area regarding the protest and all the energy that's here in Chicago regarding the George Floyd murder that took place in Minneapolis 8 days ago. We're right here outside of, what is it? Pasta Bowl, and I'm here, what's your name? What is it? Taylor, how are you? Hey, man, thank you so very much. We're live on Instagram, man. And I just wanted to talk with you and ask you, you guys caught my attention with the music that you're playing. Mayor Lori Lightfoot said that she is going to lift the restrictions tomorrow, June 3rd, and allow people to come on out. What are your thoughts on everything that's transpired here in the city of Chicago?
I don't really have a whole lot to say on it. Just trying to do our part to show our support for the black community, for people at large. We want to be part of the solution.
Whose idea was to play? Is a remix, Dr. Martin Luther King's famous speech in the 60s? Whose idea was to play this? It's house music, by the way, which is a product of Chicago. Whose idea was to play this?
All of us. We came up with it. It was on our playlist. We got a playlist right now. It's got a lot of stuff talking about what's going on in the world. We thought it'd be a good idea to play today.
And what's the reaction that you've received? You caught my attention. What was your reaction?
Everybody positive.
Is that right?
Yeah.
How long have you guys been doing it so far?
Hour and a half.
And you plan on to continue to go all night?
I might take the big speakers down because the neighbors might get mad about the noise.
Oh, really?
But we'll keep it playing inside for sure.
Okay. Now, as far as lifting the, moving to the next phase regarding the city of Chicago, and they're going to open up, how are you guys planning on accommodating customers coming to your place?
It's going to be tough here. We don't really have any outdoor seating. Our other two locations we do, so we'll definitely be ready.
Where are the other locations?
Lincoln Square and Wicker Park.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so very much. God bless you. Stay safe. Take care. Well, folks, let me tell you something. Chicago is rallying behind each other. There's no question about it. And again, it's yours truly, Jerry Riles with the Rewind Sports 60. You can check out our show every Sunday, 6 to 7 p.m. on WCPT 820 a.m. We are streaming live, ladies and gentlemen, and I want you to get a list. I love the music, the house music that's being pumped. I certainly love what's going on, and I love if we can take a look and get a turnaround. You can see people, protesters, peacefully walking down Clark Street here in Chicago on their way to their site. I understand what's going on is that everyone's meeting. They congregated just outside of Wrigley Field, I believe. They headed south on Clark Avenue, and everybody is walking toward Lincoln Park Zoo to gather. There are people, I don't know if you can make a look down all the way. They have a car full of water. They have a car full of water that they're providing for all the protesters who are heading out. The temperatures here in Chicago, the great city of Chicago, are over 90 degrees. It's about 92 degrees right now. It's a beautiful, beautiful Tuesday, June 2nd. It's extremely hot. So there are people out here who are making sure that the protesters are staying hydrated and that they're prepared for the humidity here in Chicago. If we can, I'll come up and talk with these nice people. Hi, you guys. You mind talking? We're streaming live on Instagram. What's your name?
My name is Brian.
Ryan?
Yeah.
I'm Jerry. Good to
nice
see
to
you.
meet you.
What? If I can ask, I see you guys have the water, but what's going on?
We just organizers of this march made a call to for volunteers for resources to hand out resources along the route because it's real hot today. So we answered that call. Just came out and we're just handing out water. Got AC running in the car. People were too hot. Supplies and stuff like that.
And what is your reaction to everything that's going on regarding the protests, not only here in the city of Chicago, of course in Minneapolis where it all started, but all throughout the United States? What's your reaction to it?
Well, I want action. That's my reaction. And to be honest, I don't want to draw a lot of attention to myself. I'm just looking and asking how I can help and trying to listen and work better on myself, talk to my family, talk to my friends, and try to get everybody motivated to see this when this is over too. Well, it's never over, but after this march is done, what more can we do? How can we be better allies?
No, I appreciate it, and a lot of people that are checking things out appreciate it too. And why did you say it's a long time in coming?
This needed to happen. I mean, people have been rioting for years, but what has changed?
What do you say to those people? Because it's all proclaimed to be a peaceful protest. But of course, I'm sure you guys have watched the local news as well as the national news and some international news that there have been some looters going around taking advantage of an opportunity. What do you say about that?
I'd say those are
I can't tell them how to react.
And those are derivative crimes of the greater crime of white supremacy in this country. It has a long history and caused a lot more death and violence than we've seen just these few days. And it's painful, and it's not a coherent political strategy, it's pain. And we need to answer that pain with action.
I thank you. I thank you. God bless you. Keep up the good work, the good fight. Stay safe. Folks, that's Chicago at work. There's no question about it. It's the beautiful city of Chicago, the diversity here in Chicago. I'm lifelong bred Chicagoan. I grew up on the south side. I live in the northern suburbs, but I frequent the entire city, north, south, even the east part, which is the lake, and of course the west side. And everywhere you go, Chicagoans embrace each other. There's Chicago Finest, Chicago Blue, and on their way down toward the protest site, just outside of Lincoln Park Zoo. We're going to be heading that way as well. It's the Rewind Sports 60 streaming live on Instagram. Yours truly, Jerry Riles. It's long overdue, folks. You see some protesters there? Thank you. And they continue to pump out Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. house music. Let freedom ring is what you hear echoing in the skies outside Chicago's north side. And we're just walking up and down Clark Avenue. As you can hear, some people are blowing their horns in support of the protesters. We have the cyclists and Lori Lightfoot, Mayor Lori Lightfoot, doing everything she possibly can, but she says she is going to open up the city partially tomorrow, June 3rd, as scheduled, as planned, in the battle against COVID-19. Now, some people are afraid and concerned about the protesters. And many of them are, as you can see, they have their mask on and they are trying to stay protected, but many people are concerned about the spread of COVID-19 because of all the protests and the closeness and everything that's going on. We got gentlemen working here on their establishment as well, keeping things boarded up in anticipation of some potential looting that could happen. So a lot of people, we've seen a lot of businesses here in the Wrigleyville area, the Lakeview area, where they are trying to protect their businesses just in case the protests get out of hand and the looters take advantage. We're gonna wrap things up. We hope you are practicing safe welfare. You're being safe, you're being smart, but also you show your unity, your solidarity with the protesters here in Chicago and around the country. And I understand there's a revolution that is being preached and a revolution that the young generation are trying to spread the message out there. But I want everyone to know and understand the message has been heard. Now it's time to take a proactive approach toward it and not to take a disadvantage by vandalizing and committing criminal acts to get your word across, to get your message across. It's important. It's very important that it's peaceful protests, and we've seen a lot of police officers, a lot of police sergeants, a lot of police stations around the country who are agreeing with the protesters. We've seen some kneeling in Dallas, in Atlanta, in Minneapolis. We've seen a lot of police officers and police sergeants supporting the protesters. So they understand and they do hear. And it's a long, long process. We're talking about 400 years of oppression. 400 years of oppression for the black man, the black race. Now is the time. There is no question about it. But there has to be in a peaceful manner, a peaceful approach. And as you hear in the background, house music blaring with the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He was about peace and love. And I know there are some out there that say that didn't work. It's time for the approach of Malcolm X. Take your foot off my neck. I had a buddy of mine that said, Jerry, stop singing and start swinging. I don't condone that. I don't propose that. But I do understand. Keep following us on the Rewind Sports 60, our website, therewindsports60.com, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Periscope, LinkedIn. We have the fastest hour in sports conversation, the Rewind Sports 60. We have the best sports show in the city of Chicago. And you can check us out every Sunday, 6 p.m., WCPT 820 a.m. It's The Rewind, Sports 60.
I say to you today, my friend, so even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created